On February 28th, the U.S. and Israel initiated a massive coordinated aerial campaign across the Middle East. Within days, thousands of munitions rained down on Iranian leadership compounds, attempting to surgically dismantle the country's ruling elite from the top down. The opening strikes immediately hit the personal compound of Iran's 86-year-old supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, killing him. The assault quickly expanded. In the first 6 days alone, the U.S. military executed over 2,000 airstrikes. This volume of fire successfully sank almost every major surface vessel in the Iranian Navy. The logic behind attacking now relied on a specific calculation. American and Israeli strategists observed a regime severely weakened by years of severe droughts, an actively crashing economy, and recent internal uprisings where security forces killed thousands of protesters. The assumption was that applying immense physical and psychological pressure to this fragile structure would finally cause the entire government to collapse inward. Instead of folding, the battered regime exploded outward. Realizing traditional military defense against American and Israeli air power was impossible, Iran immediately activated a devastating failsafe, targeting the vital economic arteries of its neighbors. Iran bypassed direct military confrontation with the United States since Annerly. Their counter-strategy relies on inflicting maximum intolerable pain on the neighboring civilian populations and financial centers of the Gulf states. The city of Dubai has built a lucrative economic model as a safe, stable hub for global business. Iranian missiles and kamikaze drones directly targeted this reputation, hitting luxury hotels, critical AI data centers, and massive international airports. This chart shows the harsh mathematical reality of modern air defense. To guarantee a kill against a single incoming enemy missile, defenders generally have to fire at least 2 highly expensive interceptor missiles. To block the first 400 ballistic missiles Iran launched at the Gulf states, defenders likely had to expend around 800 interceptors. That rapid burn rate consumed more interceptor missiles than the United States used during the entirety of the First Gulf War. Replacing these massive stockpiles will require billions of dollars and years of manufacturing. If the attacks continue, Gulf governments will soon be forced to make painful decisions about which specific cities or facilities they can afford to defend and which they must leave completely exposed. By mass-producing relatively cheap drones and missiles, Iran is successfully bankrupting the incredibly expensive security infrastructure that protects the entire Middle Eastern economic zone. This map illustrates the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has threatened to use its remaining motorboats, drones, and naval mines to block this narrow maritime choke point, effectively cutting off 1/3 of the world's seaborne crude oil and 1/5 of its liquefied natural gas. The global fallout has been immediate. Neighboring oil-producing nations are already running out of storage and shutting down major fields. At the same time, massive swaths of airspace across the region have been completely closed to civilian traffic, erasing more than 18,000 scheduled flights. This simultaneous maritime and aerial blockade has trapped tens of thousands of travelers worldwide, forcing international airlines to reroute flights through long, highly inefficient detours over Central Asia or Egypt, burning excess fuel exactly as oil prices spike. If the regime feels entirely cornered, they hold an ultimate card on the escalation ladder, targeting the Gulf states' highly vulnerable water desalination plants. Without those facilities, major desert cities like Riyadh, home to 7 million people, would run out of drinking water and face complete evacuation within a single week. The most advanced economies in the region are entirely at the mercy of their physical geography. The U.S. administration is now caught in a severe political trap. Bowing to the mounting economic pressure and halting the war would validate Iran's strategy of holding its neighbors hostage while simultaneously enraging the Israeli government. One major military alternative to break the stalemate involves launching a limited ground operation to seize Karg Island. This small landmass processes a massive 90% of Iran's crude oil exports. However, an assault on the island requires complex and vulnerable amphibious operations. Furthermore, capturing or damaging the terminal would completely remove Iranian oil from the global market, guaranteeing even steeper spikes in international energy prices. Intelligence agencies explored an alternative strategy, arming ethnic minority militias, like Kurdish groups in neighboring Iraq, and encouraging them to march across the border to force regime change from the inside. This demographic map breaks down Iran's population of 92 million people. Roughly 60% are Persian, while 40% belong to various ethnic minority groups. Inciting these militias risks plunging the country into a violent balkanization and a massive civil war along ethnic lines. A complete collapse of the Iranian state would likely generate a wave of regional terrorism, nuclear weapons proliferation, and a mass exodus of refugees that would dwarf the sheer scale of the Syrian crisis from the 2010s. The events in the Gulf highlight a hard reality of modern conflict. Overwhelming military supremacy is no longer a guarantee of a clean victory when an opponent possesses the exact geographic leverage required to inflict mutually assured economic destruction on the entire world.